I feel like that d4 is not a natural choice against Vincent because Vincent himself is a d4 player. But on the other hand, it did serve Magnus well in the previous game. And
he goes for e4.
Yeah, we see the switch to e4. It's very logical that in a 10 minutes rapid game, you want to test your opponent somewhere where he's less familiar, and we're gonna see a Spanish.
Ooh, the same line that we saw in their classical game with this bishop coming out to c5, the delaying of b5. And Magnus in that game, I think, went bishop to g5. In this game, he plays the more conventional c2, c3, and we will transpose now to, I guess, a variation of the Archangel with bishop c5.
Yes, I mean, a rather soft line. On the other hand, Magnus has forced Vincent out with his bishop to c5. I mean, recently Vincent has been playing exclusively the Marshal with bishop e7, so there is some mind game going on from Magnus' side here.
h6 by Vincent preventing bishop g5. And the bishop from c1 can come out to e3. But Magnus playing this almost Italian style with the rooks.
Well, if rook b4 would have been such a mistake, Vincent would have not played it. Yeah, he had almost 5 minutes on the clock, so he kind of believes that the move is possible. And the attack, for example, the other move that computer says that bishop take g6, f take g6, bishop g5 is shockingly strong. I mean, it will never ever happen in a human game. I mean, maybe in a correspondence chess, or if you have 2 hours on your clock, but not in a rapid blitz game.
Yeah, even with the aid of the computer, I would be pretty surprised if that idea is found. So, the big moment of truth. And he takes g6.
Wow.
And now he takes h6. So he does sacrifice, but he clarifies the position first. And Vincent can still play bishop b7, but then Magnus will be only one move away from spotting the potentially decisive rook invasion to e6. Big moment here. How will Vincent try to hold his position together? Bishop f5 is also a possibility here.
Yeah, now suddenly black has more options. Yeah, after bishop takes h6 immediately, the bishop was still on c2, so the bishop from c8 was not able to be developed to f5. On the other hand, Magnus kind of invites that move. What is going on in his mind? Yeah, because bishop f5 looks like a stable, more or less stable move.
There's an incredible idea. Bishop f5, queen d5 check. Seems to be strongly met by queen f7, but if you look at the rooks on b4 and b8, they're on forkable squares, and white's knight can travel via e5, which comes with a check after the queens are traded, to c6, and black drops the exchange. So that might be what Magnus is seeing against bishop f5. Maybe Vincent sees it as well and goes bishop b7, but there's too many squares that black has to defend here, and not enough pieces to do it with.
Yeah, but that bishop f5, even like this, that I know that there is the fork and computer believes that this is strong, I'm still not that scared of that. I feel like my two bishops are giving me hope. Maybe finally the a file, that this rook from a1 can enter the game. That's the decisive factor. But yeah, all eyes on Vincent now, how he will deal with this moment. Body language, what does it tell us? Yeah, Vincent not feeling happy. I mean, definitely wouldn't be surprised if Magnus would go for it, and he does.
Yeah. Practically speaking, a very unpleasant move. Rook e7 is now the big threat. Queen d7 maybe to try to get the queens off the board at all costs. It looks like that has to be played.
Yes, it has to be played, but then the white rook invades e7 with the tempo, and potentially there is some bishop d2, bishop c3 regrouping as well, hitting the g7 pawn.
And there are some mating threats there. If the rook takes on g7, driving the king over to f8, the knight from f3 can checkmate either on h7 or on e6. Man, this just starting to feel like it might spiral out of control. Maybe.
The last will be gone. I just live forever within our souls. So do it right now. As life will go on, and then will become just nothing at all. Just nothing feeling of things to lose hope. I am still going. I am even stronger now. Evil is lurking around you, and maybe I'm mistaken. You know I'm feeling alright. Like something on my face, something in my veins. Still hurts. And don't know what it takes, don't know what it takes to move on. The more that I've done, the less I become. I just live forever within our souls. Some do even know, and life will go on. And then we'll become just nothing at all. Just nothing, just nothing, just nothing, just nothing at all. Nothing at all, nothing at all, nothing at all. And then we'll become just nothing at all.
That you would want to make lightly. You would want to assess that trade and maybe even bring the f pawn up to f5 before you play h6. It should also be pointed out that a queen trade is good for white even if it comes at the cost of a pawn. That is the benefit of being two whole pawns up in a queen endgame. Vincent fighting tooth and nail, making it hard for Carlsen. Maybe queen b6 to prevent h6, but it feels like it's a matter of time at this point.
Yeah, it's hopeless. Yeah, queen 8, Magnus just goes h6, he takes, opens up the black king.
Maybe a stalemate idea with queen g6 at some point.
Yeah, queen g5 check.
It's easy to miss. You play queen h6 and f4? No. But there
Not
are
easy
scenarios.
Yeah, there are scenarios. Just to highlight what Daniel is mentioning, queen g6, queen take g6 would be a stalemate. That's a trick white really has to pay attention to. Otherwise, he should be simply winning this.
King up to g3. Vincent basically in Zugzwang. Among other things, he has to make sure that white doesn't put the queen on such a square such that the queen trade is forced, which really restricts the queen's choice of squares. Queen e2 is a nice defensive move, though.
Yeah, trying to get from behind, but queen g6 check.
Yeah, fate.
King f8. Will that white queen land on e4? Okay, first a check, and then queen e4. Yeah, exactly. That was the square that was smiling right from the start.
Oh, what a nice move. f4, pushing the pawn at the right moment. Preparing to block a check on g1 with queen e4 to g2. This is what Magnus does best. Exquisite technique, and you feel like you're getting the life squeezed out of you by a boa constrictor in these types of endgames.
Yeah, and also he controls the clock extremely well. Yeah, he made sure that he is... And look at this, yeah, his body language signals that, yes, okay, I'm gonna win this. There's no way around that.
He's got a million lives, this Magnus, but Vincent's still trying. And obviously, apart from the stalemate ideas, there's perpetuals. There's the possibility that Magnus blunders a pawn. Technique is still required, and it ain't over till it's over. That is one lesson that we have learned again and again from this match. Just when you think that one player has it in the bag, all of a sudden, crazy things start to happen, but there's just so little that black can do here as Magnus continues the inexorable march of that f1. Vincent trying to check him from behind.
Yeah, but the point is that white's king actually can also march toward the b5 pawn. And this is what Magnus is combining. Yeah, he's just going towards the b5 pawn, and there is nothing black can do.
Queen g2, king e5, queen g7, king d5. The king kind of zigzags its way away from the checks and towards c5. And once the b5 pawn is eliminated, you can basically safely resign with black.
Yes, it's over. If the king reaches c5, it's over. And Magnus very delighted, very relieved. He knows that I have my plan, I know what I'm doing. Yes, queen h4 check, going queen d8 check. It's a typical kind of idea trying to set up some perpetual check mechanism, but here this doesn't look like it.
It's a universal feeling. You know you have it in the bag. You know exactly how you're going to win, what you're going to do, and mentally you relax. Obviously, you stay vigilant. But Vincent, a shake of the head, a sip of water for Magnus, king to c5, and Vincent will drop his b5 pawn. He will go 3 pawns down in the queen endgame, and with his king in the open center, there is no stalemate possibility. He does recover the f pawn, but that's not a fair trade, because now Magnus has pass pawns on either side of the board, and is completely winning.
Yes, I mean, okay, with 1 pawn it's always tricky. The drawish margins are enormous. Even sometimes the computer says it's a draw, but practically speaking, it's still very difficult.
Oh,
however,
there it is.
Queen c4 check and the handshake. Wow, what a fight!